Lamine Yamal, the new betting favorite for the Ballon d'Or, in case you hadn't been paying attention, because apparently Ousmane Dembele, and by the way, I said that on purpose. I'm not just mispronouncing his name. I just think calling him Ousmane Dembele is sick. He underperformed at the Club World Cup, which is something that apparently people care about now, and that makes Lamine Yamal the Ballon d'Or favorite. But I am here not to talk about that. I am here to talk about the fact that he gets the Ballon d'Or for biggest party in the world, and what I think it means, which obviously matters. I need to be very clear off the top here that we need to be very aware of what exactly we're talking about, which is an 18-year-old's birthday party. Okay, somebody that just turned 18. I mean, I don't know if you remember being 18. I remember being 18, and I'm very different then than I am now, as at least a semi-functioning adult that's able to sit down and record a few of these a day, right? There is a childhood element to this that makes it weird. This is why I have long thought the relationship speculation around Lamine Yamal has been strange. So for whatever reason, Lamine Yamal happens to watch this video, or somebody associated with him, I don't want it to come off as like you're having a go at this person. Not that that's necessarily even what I'm going to do. Because we're talking about somebody that is legally a few days away from being a kid. Right? So, somebody that is somebody that's a teenager, at the very least. Right? Somebody that is a teenager. But this birthday party is fucking nuts. And I'm a little worried about where we're headed in the Lamine Yamal trajectory, right? Because there are a couple of options. Right, there are a couple of options for what you can be as an all-time great footballer, which I think nobody would argue Lamine Yamal is on the trajectory of somebody who is an all-time great footballer. Somebody that, you know, the next generation of kids will grow up saying he's one of the greatest. He's, you know, somebody that I looked up to, whatever. Right, he's already on. I mean, he's had basically a lot of the career that people like that would have. And he's, again, just turned 18. But the path that he might be going on, if I just had to hazard a guess, seems like it could be fun, but a bit of a problem. Now, let's start with what actually happened at the birthday party. There were all sorts of crazy stories coming out, right? Lamine Yamal inviting dwarves, people with dwarfism, to perform at his party. Now, one of them apparently spoke anonymously and said that they were not hassled or bothered. Right, but the I don't know what the actual name of it, but essentially the legal counsel for people with disabilities in Spain filed a lawsuit against Lamine Yamal for having, you know, dwarves at his birthday party, which is something that I thought we left in the Middle Ages, right? I thought in Game of Thrones they do this type of shit, right? How do you even think of that? If you gave me $1 billion, right, just, hey, Zealand, love the videos. Here's $1 billion. And you're like, let me throw a birthday party. Wind it back. I'm 18. You give me $1 billion, $100 million. You give me some sick hair and the footballing ability straight from the gods, right? And I can throw any birthday party I want. And I made a list of 1,000 things that I would want. Dwarf performers is not on that list of 1,000. It's not on a 10,000 long list. How do you even come up with this? My biggest concern in this whole situation is that you even come up with that, right? That's my biggest concern. Now, obviously, we're getting headlines and investigation for the presence of dwarves at 18th birthday party. This chat GPT couldn't have come up with this fucking headline on The Athletic. Lamine Yamal criticized facing investigation for presence of dwarves at 18th birthday party. What? I mean, that sounds like a Mad Libs. That legitimately sounds like a Mad Libs answer to this. To the question, what's the dumbest headline you could possibly think of? Now, he also got involved in more normal things, I would say. There were a ton of models invited to the party. One of the models said that she didn't want to go because she felt a little too objectified, right? Because apparently they were looking for blonde women with certain chest specifications. But like, while obviously that's problematic for normal human beings, I would say that is at least more normal behavior for somebody that is an elite professional footballer. Like, I want 40 blonde, busty models. I don't know. Some of these people live in a different world than you and I live in. Leonardo DiCaprio once broke up with a girlfriend and got over it by going to a Miami club and leaving with, according to reports, 31 women. He just left with the club. The whole club. He just left with it. Right? And that is obviously the category, even though he's incredibly young, that Lamine Yamal is living in, where his life in everything and every human interaction is different than we could ever possibly imagine. So is it normal to ask for 40 models with certain hair and chest specifications? Of course not. But it's a lot it's a lot more normal in this realm than just inviting dwarves. Like, I don't know. There's something, I'm stuck on it. I am stuck on this. There's something about inviting people with dwarfism to perform at your party that requires a certain twisted mind. Right? I mean, you're pulling this one out of a hat. But I'm going to go to this Sports Illustrated article because there is a response to all of this. And I'm going to tie this back to what I was bringing up at the beginning of where this is kind of headed. There is a response to all of this that I find particularly insane. It makes even less sense. Now, Lamine Yamal was asked about this. This is not the response that I think is insane. He said, I work for Barca, I play for Barca, and when I'm away from Ciutat Deportiva, I enjoy my life, and that's it. That works. That is an acceptable answer. Either he's very good at PR himself, or he obviously has a good PR team that has instructed him that's the way to answer it. I show up here, I do my job. This isn't going to affect my work as a player, right? But when I'm away, I like to have fun. And that's cool. I mean, you're 18 and Richard and Croesus. Go ahead and have all the fun you want. Right? As long as it's legal, right? Within the laws of Spain. But then his dad. Now, Lamine, there's important context here because obviously we've talked about this stuff before, just Lamine Yamal in general. His dad is young. Obviously, Lamine Yamal is young. Lamine Yamal had Lamine when he was young. I'm pretty sure he's not even 40. Right? And he's got an 18-year-old son. So I believe he was a teenager when Lamine Yamal was born, if not very early 20s. His name's Munir Nasraoui, right? And it's his quote that is just insane. Now, I know, because of the age here, right, that he is a very young dad, and he was probably up at the party having a good time too. And I am sure it would be impossible not to if you're Lamine Yamal's dad. He is living vicariously through his son. I have seen videos of this guy, of Munir Nasraoui, kind of talking shit to the cameras on behalf of his son. Very AAU basketball dad type shit, right? And then he says this: people need to respect an 18-year-old boy. That's fair. He's just a kid who has the right to enjoy his life a little. Okay, we're starting to push it a little bit with the line a little. Starting to just push against it, right? But we'll let it go. Yes, he's a professional athlete, but he also has friends. His family looks after him. And he deserves to live like any other young person his age. Bro, when I was 18, I was maybe sneaking a beer with a few friends around a bonfire, right? Because the drinking age is 46 in the United States, right? What? He deserves to live like any other young person his age? No other young person on the face of the earth can throw a birthday party like the one that he just had. Playing this off like he's just hanging out with his friends, being an 18-year-old. No, he ordered models like they were off a menu. He hired abstract performers. He had superstars from all over the world. Even Ice Show Speed was there. This is like a Diddy white party without the baby oil and the illegality. Allegedly. Because apparently he is getting sued for something for the dwarf performers, right? But it just like, I can't, the defense goes too far if you're saying he deserves to be a normal 18-year-old, because the things that he is being, for lack of a better word, accused of are not things that a normal 18-year-old would be involved in. They are not things that a normal 18-year-old would do. They're just not at all. Now, for where this is headed, well, we all know the story of even somebody like Pedri, who ends up basically just trashing a year to try and recover from how much he played, right? Somebody like Neymar, who by the time he turns 30 is kind of starting to be cooked because of how much he played and got fouled and got hurt. right? And then on the other side, there's somebody like Messi or even a Ronaldo, which clearly Lamine Yamal is not a Ronaldo. We already know that. He's in Neymar territory, and I fear he might be headed towards Ronaldinho territory. I would love for Lamine Yamal to be somebody that plays until the age of 35, 36 at the very highest level of the game. 20 years playing at the highest level, becoming arguably one of the best players of all time. But I fear that he might be on the Ronaldinho track where by the time he's 30, he's basically burned out and done because he chose to enjoy his fame more. But I would hazard people against getting too mad about that. Now, I say I fear just because I want to watch Lamine Yamal play, but I'm not Lamine Yamal. As long as he doesn't want to do a bunch of wild, awful, illegal stuff, if he wants to enjoy his fame and party and jet ski around on look at ice sculptures with iShow speed and hire models to attend every event he ever goes to, maybe even hire dwarfs as long as he treats them well, according to one of the performers. I can find the quote. It was actually in this article. It should be pointed out that one of the performers anonymously defended the forward. No one disrespected us. They let us work in peace. What work were they doing? Now I'm just curious. I have absolutely no idea. If Lamine Yamal wants to live his life that way, and that ends up resulting in him burning out at 28, 29, 30, and him not being able to maintain the level he's at, he has the right to do that. It's his life. I obviously wish that he was going to be around, going to fully maximize his potential. But you know what? It's not like Ronaldinho didn't have a massive impact on the game. Right? And Lamine Yamal, obviously, with the trajectory he's on, it seems like he's going to be even better than that. And time will tell what ends up happening as he becomes more and more of his own person. Keep in mind, he just turned 18. But there is one thing Lamine Yamal is not. Lamine Yamal is not boring. And we're going to have a lot to talk about around Lamine Yamal for a long time to come.